Hey, yo, Nightmare is the brand new Series 5 card that released yesterday. This card has been having a lot of different kind of style of decks from what I've seen people build for this card in general. We, of course, have a Sauron and then also like a Sauron Sentry build that we've kind of messed around with, which will be the gameplay for today. But I also wanted to do something a little bit different in this video and kind of just break down what I think Nightmare is going to do the best with. And then, of course, some gameplay provided to kind of show some examples of Nightmare value as well. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So in case you guys did not know, Nightmare is a 3-cost, -1 power. On reveal, replace the text of each card in your hand with the text of a random card of the same cost, which is very interesting. Think of like the tempo you get from like Mr. Negative, playing Mr. Negative on curve, or getting him out early with like a Psylocke or a Ravonna to be able to get extra value. With Nightmare, you're kind of doing that, but also not. Because the tempo with this just feels different. Because you don't know what's going to happen with each card when it transforms. And also, you don't necessarily want to do this out on curve. I had a lot of issues, actually, myself last night when playing this card. I was like, I have this on 3. I should play it on 3. When in reality, that's honestly not the best thing to do. I think you want to look at your hand before you actually play this card out instead of just tempoing it out, or have options to get this card removed from the board itself as well. I've been playing a lot of Merlin with Nightmare to be able to either once in a future Nightmare off the board or be able to change him with Polymorph. That way you don't have that -1 tempo on the board and you're able to get value elsewhere. Also, keeping in mind, like I said, your hand. Do you have a bunch of hits for cards that would benefit from being changed, or is it just dead right now? Like, what exactly and when exactly are you using this card? And I think we're still trying to figure out the right way when to use this card. But I do think when you have at least 3 to 4 different cards that will get value from Nightmare, that is one of the best times to use it. Or potentially, shout out to Zenade as he was in chat talking to me about this last night, playing Nightmare out potentially on turn 5. So then your opponent has to think, what is about to happen here on turn 6? Of course, this is one of those cards that is just really dependent on your draws. And like that is when you really decide when to play this card. I'm going to talk about a deck real quick. I have 2 different iterations that we were actually messing around with last night. Let's go ahead and jump right into those. And then I'll decipher why we have each card in the list individually, as well as other cards that truly do benefit from Nightmare. So the first list I really messed around with was a Surtur Nightmare list, which felt very clunky, which I do have some gameplay I'll show of this list where it did perform well in those instances, but I really had an issue about what do I actually play on turn 3. Am I going to play Nightmare or am I going to play Surtur? And it was one of those things like I was talking about. What do I have in my hand? What is going to give me the most value at this time? And it just felt just off. And I felt like this is just not going to be the right build for what we have going on here. Maybe for a high voltage style build, but not for what we have for just ladder, which is what it was really interesting trying to decipher what I want to do here. Of course, we have Enchantress in this list for your Star Brand and for your Red Skull, but when I was talking to people in chat, Zenade, again, a great example, plays a lot of Sauron, was like, you're really only using Enchantress in these style shells for your Scar value. And you're not running Scar in this list, so why do you have Enchantress in this list? Which made me think of this next list, which we do have Sentry and we have Luna Snow in this list. This gives us some extra Merlin value, a different target for our Zero as well, giving us some other options for Nightmare. A 4/9 that you can kind of play wherever is pretty good, especially if this card does get surged or hit with Zabu even. Zabu's one of those cards that fits very well in both the shells that I was really messing around with. You also have Merlin to be able to use the spells to either polymorph or once in future, the Void from Sentry, or even the Ice from Luna Snow. Having some sort of ramp card to be able to give you extra options has been really beneficial with this style shell itself as well. But we're going to jump right into what cards we used in both these lists, why they were in this list, and then I'm going to have substitutions as well as just cards in general I think are going to work well with Nightmare as we continue to develop more and more playstyles for this card itself, because I don't think this has a direct single deck at the moment, and I wanted to do something different in this video and be more of an explanative, maybe more theory crafting, opposed to like the buy or bust, with actually having some in-game footage of using Nightmare in instances as well. Starting off first and foremost, in both builds, we are using Zabu. A lot of the like 4/10s that are in this game have drawbacks. So you're using Zabu to be able to discount them and get them out potentially earlier, or be able to have them at a lower cost. So when you do Nightmare them, you're able to play out a couple more different Nightmare 410s with better abilities than what they started with. Next, of course, we do have Sauron. In both of these lists, we are running Starbrand and we are running Red Skull. We're not using Typhoid Mary, which I think Typhoid Mary is another good 410 for you to potentially use, but without the drawback and without having Enchantress, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Even like with the reasoning with Starbrand in this list, it makes it interesting there. The difference is, though, Starbrand is a 310, and there's only one 310. So having that for a Nightmare target or having that for a Sauron target, we like more than the Typhoid Mary downside. Even though you can remove them both with Enchantress, we're not running Enchantress in both shells. So that's one of the main reasonings why we still have Starbrand, but we don't have Typhoid Mary, and it's still a Sauron list with only 2 ongoing negative drawback cards. We, of course, do have Zero. Zero is able to remove the abilities of the next card you played. This is really good into the Red Skull if you don't have him Nightmared, or really good into the Starbrand if you don't have him Sauroned. But we are not running Ebony Maw in the style list I've been playing at the moment. I do think Ebony Maw can work in this list as well, or just any iteration of Nightmare itself as we scroll down to Ebony Maw, because Ebony Maw is a 1/7. So this is a great Nightmare target where you're going to see in a large variety of shells, and it would be another good hit for Sauron. Which, something to keep in mind, if your card is Sauroned, it still can be hit by Nightmare, and it does get the new Nightmare ability. Just because the ongoing was removed from the text by Sauron, it does not mean that when you Nightmare, that is not going to work for what the text is. So keep that in mind when you are playing Nightmare. Next, of course, we do have Surge. Surge is another great card in this list to be able to give you extra access to playing cards earlier or playing cards later, in the sense of discounting them that -1 cost to any card that isn't just a Zabud 4-drop. This allows you to have some flexibility going into later turns, which is really nice, or in earlier turns to continue just to ramp out as many cards as possible and just benefit. So you have Surge in here as one of those main enablers. There's not a direct one-to-one substitution for Surge, so I'm seeing Surge in a large variety of these lists, especially because Surge is still one of the most played cards in the game. If you guys don't have Surge, this is a card I would suggest investing in because it is that good of a card. Not the most meta-defining card, but is very relevant in meta decks. Get what I'm saying? It's not necessarily the best card in the entire game, but there's an argument that it could be. Next, we do, of course, have Merlin in this list. You're using Merlin to either once in future some of your lower cost cards back into your deck to give you +2 energy. Also, you have Polymorph to change some of these just negative cards for yourself, whether it is the Void in this Sentry package or potentially changing one of your lower costed cards into something better. It is kind of not the best idea to Polymorph, I would say, a card that has 3 power if it's a 1-drop, because the average about 2-drop power is going to be close to that 3 to 4 range. So you're kind of just rolling the dice to try and profit by polymorphing one of those cards, but it's definitely not going to be like the best case scenario. You might just want to leave those on the board instead of trying to polymorph them. I have had too many instances myself where that has actually just lost me the game. So I know that from personal experience. This, of course, you're also able to polymorph your Nightmare into something better. Normally, you're going to profit from that -1 power to something better, or even once in future. It's because it's targeted. Once in future hits the lowest powered card in the lane as well. You get your Nightmare back into your deck, and you get +2 energy the next turn. Next, of course, we have Nightmare. We're talking about Nightmare, so this is one of the key cards in these lists. This is not necessarily something I think is a must-have card. If we're being honest and completely frank, I don't think this is a must-have card at the moment. Of course, it's only been a day. We'll see what happens. I think what it does is incredible. And the snap conditions you can have, your opponent doesn't know like at all what your Nightmare cards have turned into, so it can be something that really can go crazy for you. I was talking about In Buy or Bust snapping into playing Nightmare, but I think it really depends on your hand state. This is one of those cards that is so dependent on what you have in your hand, opposed, I feel like, to almost any other card. Almost any other card in the game. Just because of the impact it has, because it changes everything. Changes the flow of how you're going to play the rest of the game, changes the flow of the way your opponent's going to react. So, like, this is a very, just, like, you have to think through this kind of play. and have options, I think, to get this power off the board. Next, we do have Luna Snow. So this is a ramp style card you're using to be able to get extra outs, to be able to play some of the cards you have either nightmared or you've zombie'd or surged. This is really just to enable you to have more accessibility to play some of these combo pieces out. You don't necessarily have to use a Luna Snow. I think a Hope Summers works well. You also could maybe do something like a Jennifer Kale in a sense if you just want it for a singular turn, but Hope Summers is probably more in line with the Luna Snow since it works for multiple turns. Next, of course, you do have Starbrand. I don't still think Starbrand is a must-have card. If you really enjoy playing Sauron, it might be a must-have card for you in that sense, but I don't think this is a card you have to have. You're seeing it a lot in these style shells because this does just immediately get value. Whenever this is transformed from Nightmare, which is one of the main instances we have in here. Also, it's just, if it gets hit with Sauron, it's a 3/10 with no abilities, which is really good. There's no downside just playing it on the board, except that it can get Shang-Chi'd. Next, we have Sentry. This Sentry slot is very interesting. You have Merlin, which is one of the main reasons you're using this to get that value. For Merlin itself, changing the Void into a 5-cost, more often than not, is a huge net positive for you. But also in this Sentry slot, you can be using something like an Enchantress, like we were talking about earlier, if you're going more down like the Scar route, because Enchantress turns off the ongoing abilities that may be negating the Scar value with a Typhoid Mary, if you're running that style list. Also for your, for your Starbrand, if you are running the Lizard as well, it can negate the ability of the Lizard to get you value. Like, I still feel like we're trying to find out the exact shell for Nightmare. I've seen a lot of people doing mid-range shells. I've seen a lot of people doing just big, greedy, big dumb idiots kind of shells. I've seen other people doing, like, Infinite War Machine type of shells. Like, I feel like there's a lot of rhyme and reason for what you can do, but it really boils down to what 4-cost cards you're using, which is very interesting to note. Because if you are doing the War Machine route, like, you genuinely are going to be running your Infinite. You're going to be running a Giganto. You're going to be running an Ebony Maw, which I've seen people do that and had great success with because that's another just incredible surprise factor. You also, like, if you're doing the Enchantress route, you have the Typhoid Mary. For that, you're using more of the classic Sauron build if you're doing it in that sense, which is also, I've seen people be somewhat successful with this card. But in general, like, you have Atuma also to negate the downsides for Nightmare. This would remove Nightmare from the board if it's the only card in that lane. But you have to waiver also if Atuma isn't hit by Nightmare, that if you have other cards that are less than 10 power, they can also be destroyed. I had an instance last night where someone played Surtur, and Surtur got destroyed by Atuma, and it lost them the game because they weren't able to finish off the rest of their combo. You have Cold Obsidian, which is another great card that can benefit from Nightmare itself, but you're probably running a decent amount of 1-drops in the game, which can be as another alternate. So, like, it's just not putting all of your eggs into one basket for Nightmare, I think, is the main thing, and thinking about other combo lines. Like, it's not just, like, Mr. Negative. You're pouring a lot of your eggs into one basket for Mr. Negative, but you also have Ravonna, and you also have Esme as 2 other cards to complete the combo, so you have a couple different lanes or different lines to mess around with. So I definitely feel like this is a card you're not wanting to pour all of your eggs into one basket for, because then you're just really going to end up losing the game for yourself. And I think there's other instances where he high rolls, like Red Skull turning into Iron Man. I had instances like that. Red Skull turning into Blue Marvel. Red Skull turning into Sarah. Red Skull turning into Black Panther. Like, those are really great high roll instances that you're like, yo, Nightmare is an absolutely incredible card. I'm so glad I have this card. But I think, like, realistically, it is a very, very fun card and a very good, like, bluff snap card. I think that's really where you can kind of get a lot of value. It's going to be probably, I think, a bit better for Conquest than for Ladder. Kind of in an instance like Erisham is okay on Ladder. Like, there's games where Erisham just steamrolls, and 34-card Monty does his thing. But especially in, like, a Conquest kind of setting where you're locked in for multiple games, you have better variety of snap conditions and better varieties to be able to min-max the way your health works, opposed to just single game cube rate. I would say with Erisham is where this card is going to shine. You're going to have instances where you hit, like, your Giganto and you hit your Infinite. Your Infinite turns into Galactus, and we've seen all these Galactus Infinite clips, which is also really awesome to see, Infinite getting value there. You're not stuck with the restriction. You can only play this last turn. Giganto not stuck with the restriction. You can only play this left. Like, those are 2 cards that also really benefit from this, opposed to just playing the standard Sauron package, which I think is what's really great about Nightmare, is that it is flexible. in that sense where it doesn't just sit into one deck, where kind of Starbrand kind of feels like it just sits into one deck with Sauron. This is something you can kind of build a bunch of different ways around, get Maximus to get value, the Lizard like I was talking about, even maybe something like Silk. Maybe your Silk doesn't move. That's what people have also been doing with Hydra Bob, with Martyr. Like, this is a very interesting card, and I'm very interested to see how the deck building continues to progress when it comes to Nightmare. And there's so many different ways you can play this card opposed to maybe some of these other new cards we've gotten. Maybe not so many as in, like, there's 50 different decks for this, but there's a good handful where Nightmare genuinely gets value. And it really boils down to, what do you want to play? Like, at the end of the day, are you wanting to play more of the Sauron build? It works in Sauron. Are you wanting to play more of these War Machine builds and trying to hit some crazy clips? Maybe you do that. Or do you want to make like consistent War Machine or like consistent mid-range style deck? Do you play Nightmare in that? Like, I think that's really great when it comes to this card and when it comes to deck building with this in general. Let me know down below what you guys have been messing around when it comes to Nightmare in general and what you guys are thinking about this card. We're going to jump into some gameplay from the Sauron decks I was playing just so I can show you guys some gameplay, and then I will see you guys at the end of the video. Oh, you probably got sent a picture of either Sierra or whatchamacallit? Either Sierra or Hudda. Probably Hudda. We got Grand Central, Red Skull value. So Nightmare, does Nightmare change the text on this card or no? I mean, I'd probably play Surtur out with these draws, but I think we do play Surtur out with these draws. Yeah, I think it's Surtur into Nightmare or something. They Nightmare. I go Nightmare once in future. I think it changes the spells. I think it changes the spells too, right? This is a lot of just testing over here. The tempo is interesting, but we do have once in future to get Nightmare back into the deck. They could also be playing Black Knight. True. They could be just playing Black Knight. Nightmare Black Knight? Yo. Yeah, for science. Wait, the spell turned into Echo and this turned into Legion? Wait, unless? Wait, what exactly are they playing? Are they playing Sauron? So this is Moonstone. I think it's this. And this turned into Human Torch. They Red Skull into Gamora. They lash her Lizard. Oh, this is funky, bro. I get Enchantress Atuma. Their blade is Howler. I think it's just this, that. They haven't discarded anything. 23. And you know, this gets even more than 23. They still vanish afterwards? Okay. I lose to like a Chi middle? War Machine Black Knight. Wait, the Legion still goes off too? Wait, that's crazy. Wow. I thought the spell had, like, I thought, like, with the Sauron text, this doesn't exist anymore, but I guess Nightmare overrides the Sauron text? I have a really good lineup here, though. Merlin Nightmare 0. Ooh. Okay, Aranya. Playing some move. I mean, I just go Merlin into Nightmare. I will end up with 2 spells, which will be... I think, actually, since I have Nightmare in hand and the way I'm going to be changing things up... I think it is this. Madam Web. Your Agatha keeps becoming Giganto. Oh, that's pain. Oh, that's interesting. I always get Enchantress into Scarlet Spider. Wait, what are they playing? Wait. 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 They move the Hulk. They vulture Aranya. I go... Surge. Hawk. They Topaz. This is Morgan. If I go... Surge... Zabu... Cole 0. There we go. We got some nightmare value, but that was a little crazy. With like, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I don't know if there's like a definitive 12. You know, I don't know if it's a exactly. There's so much just different thing. Yeah, 3-drops are fake. So playing Nightmare as a 3-drop, or having Starbrand as the thing. So something that I was thinking about as well. Interesting start here. I mean, we could have probably gone for Zabu here, but we've drawn 2 of our 4-drops already. I think we do this now, actually. You think we don't play 3s on 3? So I don't play... I mean, I could do... I mean, this actually is not half bad. But no, Merlin definitely is the most important card. I do agree. I mean, we play Cole left here. They Nightmare. I get Cole here. Is this actually... This seems a little snappable? I don't know. Nightmare on 5, because then you literally are like, what do you think I'm going to do? What am I doing with my final turn here? What am I doing with my final turn here? We should be good. Should be good. I know I don't necessarily know what they have here. Typhoid Mary? Uh-oh. Yeah, that's fair. The loss of tempo is totally real. Yo, what's going on, Real? How you doing, bro? This is... What do we hit here? Dracula... I'm gonna go... Nightmare... Atuma... I have 0. Or I could just go... If I go Enchantress... Nightmare... And then I have all this other stuff to mess around with. Yeah. I mean, Nightmare's going to stay on the board, but I think it's okay. I love the Howard. Okay, this is Chavez. Yeah, exactly. What is this? This was both Lizard and... Wait, hold on. What? Maximus was... Maximus turned into Lizard, and Lizard was... Okay. And then... This is Rock Slide, and this is Silver Samurai. I think it's literally... Red Skull, and then Atuma. We're dropping a lot of power there. How many cards does he have in hand, though? 4. He drew a card on 5. Or he drew on 4, he drew on 5. He drew on 6. So only 1 card in hand potentially was hit by Nightmare. So the question is, do I fully commit middle or do I commit left? And I think I'm fully committing middle, actually. But I'm going to do Atuma Rock Slide. Or Atuma Red Skull instead. Yeah. We had some pretty good freaking hits, yeah. Enchantress in this list is wrong. You don't like Enchantress in this one? Just because, like, it's weird to waiver playing Enchantress with a Nightmare. Is that what you're thinking? Merlin, Sauron. We're doing great. Go Zabu into Nightmare once in future. I think. That's fair. They're loading that up. I honestly need Omni here. So what do you think is what do you think's the drop in instead? What do you think is the drop instead for Oh My Atlanta? Yo, Samil, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, King. It is good to see you. Yeah, let's freaking go, Loki. Let's go. I think Maul. Maul might be better. Maul just because, like, you're getting so much value overall from it, too. Hood. The drop. Oh, we're talking about... Oh, good gravy. Wait. Actually, I don't hate this necessarily. Nightmare. Oh, yo. Sentry Enchantress, though? Sentry Enchantress, though? Okay. Okay. So... We got... Wow, huge voice crack. This is Enchantress. This is Warpath. If I Enchantress, I win right. You've Galactus a VIP with it too? Holy. If I do this into that, I'm up 15 power left. I could also just do that. This is Hellion. Is it just this? That? Misery, Demon, Omni. Oh, God. I think we actually win. I think we win Breakers here now. And then I have a Tuma to go off. This goes away. We go up, and then... Let's go. A Tuma Warpath, baby! That's so crazy. We all just on ladder tonight, huh? All of us on ladder. Let's see. Oh, we changed it up. Changed it up. Ooh. What we got? Scarlet Spider to Lady Deathstrike. We could snap, but I think they retreat. This is what? Sable. Torch, rain. Oh, because of Madam Web. Because Strange and Madam Web are the biggest cards. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'm trying to think if this is just a new way to kind of talk about the new cards after they come out, and I've had some hand-on experience with it. So let me know down below if this is something you guys enjoy, some more just talking over the card in general, giving some ideas, some potential tips for deck building itself. And then I'm still going to be doing deck guides, still going to be doing buy or bust, but I just wanted to try out something new. We also do have a new series I'm going to be trying to release out on Monday, where we do the top 10 cards of the week, as well as show decks for those 10 cards. It's going to be kind of all over the place, trying to just pump out more videos for you guys, because I'm loving Snap right now. Even though it's not that great with high voltage stuff, I'm still down about that, because I really wanted just to get Kid Omega like organically. Having to spend gold for this card, which I've really been hoping for months, is something that is unfortunate. But I want to get content out for you guys, so we'll see what happens. But until next time, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. It's been real. God bless, and Tucker out.